Hello friends, welcome to another video from my series Quick Thoughts On, in which I always talk about different stories from the rich Star Trek universe. Last week, the next episode of the show called Insulting Picard premiered. It was called Nepenthe, or however you want to pronounce it. And these are my honest opinions about it. Well, there goes my good feeling from the last week's episode. We start as usually with a flashback, this time to the second, I think, episode, where Agnes Jurati met the head of Starfleet Security. She mind melts with Agnes and we see something which looks like CGI remakes of the scenes from Terminator 2 Judgment Day. So if Soji won't die, the universe will go boom or something. I don't know, it's episode 7, maybe you could finally also explain something. I mean, at least they show us something, but I have no clue what it is. And the fake Vulcan gives Agnes a blue pill. I was hoping Agnes will take the red pill, but of course she takes a blue pill, and no, she doesn't get woke, and no, it's not space Viagra, it's something better. A suicide pill combined with a tracker. At least I think that's what it is. Meanwhile, on the Borg cube, the evil elf lady, sister of Narek, catches Hugh and his ex-Borgs, and she kills them all. Okay, I think the project is now officially over, right? But Master Elrond saves Hugh and tries to communicate with Rios and his ship. Speaking of his ship, the cube is holding it and they release it only for Narek to follow it. Picard and Soji beam to the planet called Nepenthe and are threatened by a little girl. So this little girl is the worst character in the show so far. She's replacing Raffi on the position of the worst female character on the show. You know, after suffering through her existence in this episode, I realized one thing. Every female character in this series is a bitch. And every male character on this show is a pussy. Why? The only tolerable female character so far was Agnes, but they turned her into a psycho killer, qu'est-ce que c'est? And Dash was a good character too, but they blew her up in the very first episode. Why does every other woman has to be insufferable, and why does every man has to be so pathetic? I hate this weird Hollywood agenda which is shoved in every single movie and every single TV show these days. So, annoying little girl talks crap about Picard, as always, I guess because she's female, and they now insult Picard together with Soji. You know, I hate children just like the next guy, but it feels like they had to go out of their way to make her a horrible character. By the way, she is named Kestra, which is the first good thing about this episode, and if you are a fan of Star Trek The Next Generation, you know who are her parents. Yes, correct, her parents are Deanna Troi and William Riker. We see the first good scenes in this episode. Picard hugs first Deanna and then Will, and they all are genuinely happy, or at least they seem to be genuinely happy. I must admit, I almost lost a few tears. It was really beautiful to see, but the good feeling got lost very, very soon. Kestra watches Soji while she's showering, and it's not creepy at all. And of course they are bonding, or at least that's what I assume is supposed to be happening, but it's kind of emotionally empty. We get a backstory what happened to the Rikers. They had a son and a daughter, but the son has died. If I was paranoid, I would find it suspicious that they killed the male child. And after spending some time in the Riker house, I suddenly realized one thing. We are wasting time. Absolutely nothing happens. This whole subplot is just a huge waste of our time. They just sit around and talk about the plot of the previous episodes. So you get 2 actors from the next generation, which is a good thing, and you waste them like this. Why? Did you think this is something that will make the TNG fans happy? I mean, yeah, it is very nice to see these characters, but it's not enough to just show them. You must give them a reason to be in the story. They don't move the plot along in any way. Meanwhile on the ship, Agnes wants to go home, so Raffi makes her special cake. Yes, she intentionally drugs another woman. This is our hero, everybody. I can't imagine why does her son not want to have anything to do with her. Meanwhile on the planet, Picard says something weird, which, I don't know, I guess it's supposed to be sarcastic or I don't know. And what does Soji do? She shoves Picard. Yes, she physically assaults a 120-year-old man who looks like he will break all of his bones if you scream at him. Even Will yells at her for this. The same Will who ignored earlier that his own daughter told him that she would leave him and Deanna die. Why did he ignore that? Do parents not know how to spank their children? The girl needs some good spanking, just like Soji. I volunteer to do the spanking if anybody else doesn't want to. So, how does Deanna react to Picard being assaulted? Guess what happens? Yes, she starts insulting him. Because she's a woman, I guess. Hooray! I start to think that Michael Chabon, who co-wrote this episode, pretends to be a feminist, but in reality he hates women, and therefore writes all of them as disgusting bitches. So on the cube, the Romulan agent, I don't care enough about her name, so... But you know who I'm talking about. She again catches Master Elrond and Hugh, and something slightly funny happens. Elrond pulls out his sword, so she pulls out her disruptor and starts shooting. Oh wait, she kills Hugh, so I guess it shouldn't be funny. See, this is the problem if you have a character who uses a sword in an universe in which everybody has energy guns. Agnes has meanwhile overdosed and starts to vomit blood, but her friends don't really care, and I start to have a feeling that that scene was not supposed to be funny, but this subplot was supposed to be funny. So Rios goes later to Agnes and suggests that because Narek is always following them, somebody must have a tracker, and it has to be Raffi. So what does Agnes do with this? She injects something to her neck, which causes her to shake on the floor and vomit white foam, and she ends in a coma. So Picard and Soji beam back on the ship, and this is the end. So let's break it down a bit. The director has, as usually, done a pretty good job. I really can't say anything negative about the directors in this show. However, the editing is again pretty bad, the pacing sucks, during most of the episode nothing happens, and in the last 5 or so minutes things starts to happen and then the episode suddenly ends. The script is the worst thing about this episode, because as with every Chabon script, nothing happens. This is just a waste of time, absolutely nothing happens, and this is a typical thing for a Chabon script. Don't get me wrong, this can be a good thing. For example, I love the short track named Calypso, and absolutely nothing happens in that story too, but in that format it works, because it's a short, isolated story. I slowly start to see that this show was a huge problem with women. If the show makes me hate every female character, we have a huge problem. I mean, there are some good female characters on Discovery. Tilly is a nice person during all of the series, sometimes maybe way too nice. Woshikun was also an interesting character, and even Michael Burnham herself has some nice moments from time to time. So why are all of the female characters on Picard so awful? And it's not just that they're awful to men. There is the scene between Raffi and Agnes, for which I think Raffi should end up in jail, and the writer should lose his job. This whole episode can be skipped completely. The only thing that happens is that Agnes is a traitor, which we already knew, so she ends up in coma by her own decision, and that Hugh dies. These two informations could be delivered in two short scenes in the end of the previous episode, and Picard with Soji could simply beam up directly to the ship instead of using the stupid Stargate thing to beam to the Riker planet. So, what are the things I liked in this episode? Well, I like that the young Riker girl is called Kestra. I think it's a beautiful thing to do. I like that we have seen Riker and Deanna, and I like the scenes in which they hug Picard. And I like that the Romulan agent lady responds to Elrond's sword with her blaster. And that's it. 2 references and 3 very short scenes. And I'm saying this as a person who was really positively impressed by the previous episode. This is just sad and depressing to watch. On my standard scale from 0 to 10, where 0 is complete garbage, 10 is a masterpiece, and 5 is just average, I would give this episode maybe 4 out of 10. Below the series average, but unfortunately average when compared to only Chabon's scripts. Do better, Picard. Do much, much better. But the series ends in 3 weeks, so I guess I should keep my expectations very low. Thank you very much for watching, and see you very soon, hopefully tomorrow. Bye.